Bountiful City Council meeting here on Tuesday, July 10th, 2018. Today we didn't have a work session, which we regularly do. We're just after 7, and I probably didn't need to actually use the gavel. We probably just could have everybody could have put their paddles in the air. How many paddles do we have? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Okay. We now know that this is the beginning of our city council meeting. Thanks. Thank you for being here. Anyway, we have everyone here on our city council. We know that Beth has other assignments too with not only here but with the Utah League of Cities and Towns. She's going to be here about 30 minutes and then we'll excuse her.
Let's just be done by then.
Hey.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm good with that. So
move to adjourn.
So we want to begin by having a pledge of allegiance. We're going to have Fred Philpott, if he would come and lead us in a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Fred, come over here by this microphone, would you? Fred. Just for a second. So I met Fred a while ago, and I was so glad to see him today. Tell us, Fred, how we met the first time. What were you doing?
I wrote an essay that won the Bountiful Cities, Leagues, and Towns thing. So we met at my school, and I had no idea what was happening for the first 5 minutes. The mayor showed up, and he started reading my essay. I'm like, hang on a second. What's going on? And then my friend points out the camera in the corner. I'm like, I started putting things together, and then I'm like, oh, wait a second. And then, so yeah, that was fun.
Tell them where you go to school.
I go to Muir Elementary. I'm learning Chinese.
Yeah.
So
Hey, we really appreciate you, Fred.
thank you.
Good job. Good job. And your essay was amazing. Okay, we'll let you go. Thanks for helping us today. We're really fortunate to have Jody Bushdecker from the Bountiful Community Church. She just has fit in so well. We're so glad that you're here, Reverend, and we'll ask you to offer a word of prayer for us.
Well, good evening, Mayor and council members and fellow Bountiful citizens. And this evening I'd like to share a poem that is entitled We Were Made for These Times, written by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. It's a little lengthy, but I believe the hope and inspiration it offers is worth the time. My friends, do not lose heart. We were made for these times. I have heard from so many recently who are deeply and properly bewildered. They are concerned about the state of affairs in our world now. Ours is a time of almost daily astonishment and often righteous rage over the latest degradations of what matters most to civilized, visionary people. You are right in your assessments. The luster and hubris some have aspired to while endorsing acts so heinous against children, elders, everyday people, the poor, the helpless, is breathtaking. Yet I urge you, ask you, gentle you, to please not spend your spirit dry by bewailing these difficult times. Especially do not lose hope. Most particularly because the fact is we were made for these times. Yes, for years we have been learning, practicing, been in training for, and just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. I grew up on the Great Lakes and recognize a seaworthy vessel when I see one. Regarding awakened souls, there have never been more able vessels in the waters than there are right now across the world. and they are fully provisioned and able to signal one another as never before in the history of humankind. Look out over the prow. There are millions of boats of righteous souls on the waters with you. Even though your veneers may shiver from every wave in the stormy roil, I assure you that the long timbers composing your prow and rudder come from a greater forest. That long-grained lumber is known to withstand storms, to hold together, to hold its own, and to advance regardless. In any dark time, there is a tendency to veer toward fainting over how much is wrong or unmended in the world. Do not focus on that. There is a tendency, too, to fall into being weakened by dwelling on what is outside your reach, by what cannot yet be. Do not focus there. That is spinning the wind without raising the sails. We are needed. That is all we can know. And though we meet resistance, we more so will greet great souls who will hail us, love us, and guide us, and we will know them when they appear. Didn't you say you were a believer? Didn't you say you pledged to listen to a voice greater? Didn't you ask for grace? Don't you remember that to be in grace means to submit to the voice greater? Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that is within our reach. Any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another soul, to assist some portion of this poor, suffering world, will help immensely. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more, continuing. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small, determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times. The light of the soul throws sparks, can send up flares, build signal fires, cause proper matters to catch fire. To display the lantern of soul is in shadowy times like these. To be fierce and to show mercy toward others, both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. If you would help to calm the tumult, this is one of the strongest things you can do. There will always be times when you feel discouraged. I too have felt despair many times in my life, but I do not keep a chair for it. I will not entertain it. It is not allowed to eat from my plate. The reason is this. In my uttermost bones, I know something, as do you. It is that there can be no despair when you remember why you came to earth, who you serve, and who sent you here. The good words we say and the good deeds we do are not ours. They are the words and deeds of the one who brought us here. In that spirit, I hope you will write this on your wall. When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe. There can be no doubt. But that is not what great ships are built for. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Reverend. That was beautiful. This is time now for our public comment time. We allow 10 minutes for this and not more than 2 minutes for one individual to be up. And with that, we would ask you to please come to the podium.
Hi, Mayor and councilmen and women. My name is Janet Siemens. I've lived in Bountiful 40 years, and I have written a few things out so that I don't ramble. I have raised 8 children and have 31 grandchildren. I've been active in this community, and I'm a founder of Summerfest. I'm a delegate. I attend caucuses and conventions, and I've served. I'm a member of the United Women's Forum. where I see Kendall occasionally. I've also was the national director for the Thomas Jefferson Center for the Constitutional Studies. I love my country. I love studying the founders and the proper role of government. And I've paid taxes here, tens of thousands of taxes, and this is in this community, and this is the first time I've ever complained. I'm really not a complainer, but I'm complaining today. I would suggest a recreation survey should not come out of a utility bill, and when everyone knows Mike Nielsen after his years of contacting you, why wasn't a call or an email made to the pickleball community regarding this important survey? And I would like to ask the audience who did not see that survey. Did not see it? Did not see it? Yeah, did not see it. Okay. I don't sometimes open mine because I pay online, and so I'm now 72 years old, and I am so concerned to stay fit and healthy and strong to keep serving in the community and my beautiful family. And I was on the fence, Mayor, regarding who I was going to vote for this last election because I didn't agree with some of your issues. You're a great guy. But I don't vote nice people, I vote belief.
That's okay.
So,
We
yeah,
didn't
okay,
vote for
right.
him either.
But when I received Mike's email to 1,600 residents with a picture of you and Kevin at the Twin Hollow Park, I had hoped we might get some support from you, and trusting Mike, which I so do, and his favorable opinions of you, I changed my mind and I voted for you. I wonder how many had the same feeling and maybe swayed that election for you. After playing all winter indoors at my local church, and we have to sometimes wait to play, there's so many players, I fully expected to see at least some repair, if not new pickleball courts, to my great shock and disappointment. In closing, we would like to demand that you amend the 2019 budget to have the Twin Hollow Park remade from scratch into a beautiful facility with 9 pickleball courts that you and I, Mayor, can be proud of. This is an amazing sport, is it not? Yes. I'm telling you, it's keeping us alive, and it's over. And so, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start before the clock. I moved to Bountiful in 1975 and have been a longtime resident and have loved Bountiful. In fact, loved it so much that I convinced Mike to move to Bountiful. My name is Jolene Nielsen. For those of you who don't know me, I'd be surprised. We were told back in 2014 when Cheese Cart was finished that Bountiful was going to be the leader of pickleball. We were excited about that. We talked to National about bringing tournaments to this area, and since then we've had courts built in Kaysville, Farmington, Layton. We've had them built in Salt Lake, in Fairmont Park, in the avenues. We've had them built all over, even as close as Woods Cross. So we've been a little disappointed to hear year after year that it's going to be in 2 more years, or it's going to be in 3 more years, and now the rumor is it's going to be in another 10 years. Mike's 73. I want him around before those, with those courts being done so he can play on them. So I would like to also ask that you amend the budget so that you can include pickleball as a priority, and also the safety of the pickleball players. We've had so many pickleball players that are not only seniors, but are children that are being taught there through the rec center, and they're tripping over the cracks. When it was built, it was to be a short-term fix for a long-term solution down the road. And now our regional tournament that we held with 650 players in Little Valley last April can't come here this next year. It has to go to Brigham City because we don't have the courts that we thought we were going to have. So please, 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 I admonish you to rethink the budgeting for pickleball and go ahead and put us right up there at the top of the list. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I go first, please? Take a little break from pickleball for just a second.
Who do you want to see this?
Hand these out first before I speak. I guess you can stand right there.
Thanks. Hi.
Thank you. Hi, Mark.
Thanks.
Okay, so what I'd like to speak about tonight affects the older
Could you
neighborhoods.
tell us who you are and where you live?
Yes, yes, please. My name is Mark Minnis. I live at 349 West, 300 North in Bountiful. And what I'd like to speak about tonight is what happens in older neighborhoods in Bountiful regarding off-street parking. About 5% of the homes in Bountiful have single-wide driveways. These homes were built over 50 years ago, and they aren't allowed by the current building codes to expand their off-street parking. So in the current day, many of these homes have two incomes, and with teenagers driving, they're shuffling 3 and 4 vehicles on a single-wide driveway. This violates the building code. These pins on here represent the signatures. I gathered signatures for a petition, gathered over 1,000 signatures from residents who are in favor of allowing all single-family residences to provide adequate off-street parking so we can comply with the winter parking ordinance. So the building code actually requires all single-family residences to install 4 off-street parking spaces. And the authors of the code realize that if you park more than 2 vehicles deep, it becomes a burden on the residences. So they specified only tandem parking in providing these 4 off-street parking spaces. So all single-family residences must be allowed to install a double-wide driveway or 2 single-wide driveways in providing these 4 off-street parking spaces. Unfortunately, the building department cites other parts of the building code that prevent us from doing what the building code requires us to do. Last winter, I counted 9 residences in our neighborhood that were parking vehicles on their lawns because of inadequate off-street parking. So I asked that the city council would make it a priority to allow all single-family residences to install at least a double-wide driveway or 2 single-wide driveways.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thanks. We still have we don't, okay. Yes, we just have time for 1 or 2 more? 2 more. Oh,
We started at 7:10.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having us today, or this evening. My name is Larry Kinky, and I live at 1192 Mueller Park Road in Bountiful. I'm a longtime resident, and I'm here to talk about pickleball. I'm going to talk about the health aspect of pickleball. 9 months ago, if you were to see me, I was 255 pounds to 260 pounds. I had high cholesterol, and I was pre-diabetic. Since I had a neighbor who invited me to come and play, which I started. By the way, I love pickleball. In those 9 months, I'm down to 200 pounds. My goal is 180. My cholesterol is way down, and I'm no longer pre-diabetic. Now I want to talk about the health benefits to other people. We have a couple people who play with us who have Parkinson's disease. With them playing, it actually helps them. I asked one of the members, or one of the gentlemen, what it does. If he's talked to his doctor, and his doctor said, keep it up. It's definitely helping you. Motion is lotion. The more you move, the better it is. We also have, the group we play with are probably anywhere between 58 and older. We got people there that have double amputees and prosthetics, and they're playing. We have a gentleman that only has 1 arm. He's playing. But again, it keeps them thinking that things are great, okay? Also, we got a gentleman who is 91 years old. I think he invented pickleball, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you, he may not be a fast mover, but if the ball gets near him, you're going to pay for it because he's that good, okay? He also has cancer, by the way, and he's under treatment right now. And his name is Army. And he's a fantastic gentleman. So where we're getting at is and like she was saying, we have the young kids from South Davis Community Center coming up, and they do 2 sessions in the morning, and I think they're an hour each, and there's a lot of them. They're very young, and they're learning pickleball. So as they grow up, they're going to want to play in a decent court. Nice thing about it is they're actually playing and not playing games. So I want to thank you for your time. Like they said, let's look at our budget and see if we can do something. Thank you very much for all of you.
I think we'll allow one more person I know.
These are the courts.
Gotcha.
I wasn't planning on this, but if we have one more, I'll speak. My name is Mike Nielsen. I'm the Region Director for Nevada, Lake Tahoe, and Utah with the National Association. Last week I had a conference call with the City of St. George asking us to bring the tournament back from Brigham City back down there. The economic benefits to St. George has been fantastic. According to the Utah Department of Tourism, pickleball players leave more money in a community than other sports. Young soccer families that are taking their kids down to, let's say, St. George, they stay with their relatives, they stay with friends, and they don't spend money. At $164 per day per person, St. George, when we bring a tournament down there, we bring in over $800,000 in 4 days to 5 days. We're going to do that to Brigham City next year. So anyway, St. George asked me to bring the tournament back down to St. George. And that's what I wanted to do with Bountiful. When we talked about building and refurbishing the courts, which I appreciate, very much what the city did, Brock Hill's been fantastic to work with. But there is some definite economic impact on Bountiful that I'd like to bring this way. And I would appreciate it if we could do some kind of a study group and to explore the idea of building some courts at the Cheese Park Twin Hollow current site and maybe expanding it over into the Ball Diamond, which I don't think is used in any kind of league play. I think it's a practice field, but they have the practice fields up at Rocket Park and they have plenty of other areas. So anyway, I wanted to just talk to you about money, numbers, increasing tourism, and bringing more money into Bountiful. And I'm sorry, but I wasn't prepared tonight.
Michael, you're always prepared. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that, and that will be the end of our public comment time. And, well, I'll ask the council to approve the minutes from our previous held meeting on, thank you, on June 26, 2018. Yes, you're fine. We'll excuse you, and we'll excuse you to go play paddleball, or pickleball. Hey, thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Good job, you guys.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve the minutes.
Thank you. Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, that is approved. And we'll do council reports. Richard, we'll start with you.
Nothing this evening, thanks.
And for you, Mark John?
Richard stole my thunder. I also have nothing.
Jeez. Beth?
Nothing for the meeting this evening, thank you.
Mayor, I'd like
Sir
to
Chris?
report on our concerts in the park. They are wonderful. Last Friday, the patriotic program, I've had a number of calls, how touching it was to the veterans that were there. And so I think that's a wonderful program. This weekend, we were in Cody, Wyoming, and they had a similar concerts in the park.
Very good.
I found it, and the crowds were big, and it was wonderful to see. And I think we need to take our hats off to Richard Watson, who is doing such a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
And then next Friday is Vision Band. They're a contemporary and a classic rock. So you would like that. That's
On
from
Friday
Mara
night.
on Friday night. So that would be a great opportunity to come and sit in the park and just enjoy great music.
I'm sorry, did you say this Friday?
This Friday.
Okay, sorry.
Did I say it wrong?
I thought you said next Friday, and I'm like, well, wait, I don't think they're there next
Okay,
Friday.
this Friday.
This coming Friday.
3 days.
3 days.
Anything else?
I'll
Kendall.
just add to that, the following Friday, I'm really excited because between the parade and the fireworks, Carmen Rasmussen Herbert is performing in the Bountiful Park, and that is really my favorite national anthem version that I've ever heard is for her to sing that. So it's going to be great, I'm sure, too.
Right, and her father-in-law is our governor, so there is a opportunity maybe for our governor to be there to hear his daughter-in-law sing. So we'll see. I know that he's been invited. So If there's nothing else, we will ask for a Bountiful City Youth Council report. Do you have anything?
Yeah, this is David Benyon coming up, and he'll report to us. And take it away, David.
Thank you. Good evening. So a couple things that we've done recently are some get-to-know-you activities for the new members that were recently inducted to BCYC. And we also went up to by the B and we painted over some graffiti that is up there, and also I think there was another place by the temple, but it was cool just to go up there and to get involved and to help clean up and make the area look clean for those that use it. It was a really good activity, and a couple things we're doing in the future are the following week we will be in the parade. We've gotten our t-shirts for the year. We'll all be matching and looking good, and the next day we'll be helping with the chuck wagon breakfast for those that will be running that morning.
Great. David, thank you so much for that report.
Yep.
Thanks,
thank
David.
you.
We appreciate you and your group. Thank you very much. With that, council, we'll look to approval of weekly expenditures over $1,000 that were paid June 18th and 25th, 2018, and our May 2018 financial report.
So I just had a quick question.
Certainly.
So I saw the expenditures, some money for the Downtown Plaza Phase 2. It reminded me that I wanted to kind of get a reminder update of where we are with that project.
I guess it's a good thing I didn't run home.
Yeah.
We're currently in the design phase. We're still working through some budget issues, trying to make sure we fit in to the funding that's been allocated for the project. The last week, I've received estimates from Hogan, who's been working with EPG, the designer, and we feel like we have our arms pretty well around what will be constructed in the first phase and fit in the budget. Right now, we should be about at a level of design of about 30% done. So things are progressing, and we're hoping to assemble everything into one package instead of separating it into two bid packages as we'd earlier anticipated, where we do grading and utilities this fall, and then the structures and the amenities in the spring. We're hoping to just bid it all once and get started and get going with it. The pricing will actually be a little better. So that's...
So if it happens that way, then it would be, this fall would be the majority of the construction, or?
We'll get started on it. Yeah, we'll get as much as we can done while the weather's good.
And of course, we don't know for sure, but then we would anticipate that it would be finished if things...
We have a timeline on that, right? We do have a timeline.
Are we on the timeline?
We've slipped a little bit. We're a little bit behind, but we're not far behind.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I wouldn't anticipate things being done, though, until probably June, July-ish, maybe a little later than that. I think we're actually talking August sometime.
So possibly a
Original
year
schedule.
from now
Yeah,
is a guess, a good estimate.
yeah, it is.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Gary, can we get a new timeline on that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd. So I go back to the weekly expenditures and the financial report. I look for a motion.
I'd be happy to make a motion that we approve, what I have is June 11th rather than June 18th.
Yeah.
But the expenditures paid June 11th and June 25th, as
Gary.
well as adopting the May financial.
So we have the June 18th, 25th, and 11th?
Nope, just the 11th and the
Just the
25th.
Oh, the 11th and the
Not the
25th.
18th.
Just right, oh,
Yeah,
not the 18th.
correct.
Second the motion.
With that correction, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes. Thank you for getting that correction on there. Appreciate it. And we're going to have some folks from the Rotary again. Are you the designated, Paul? Good, if you'll come up, that would be great. And it was so fun. There's getting to be more and more people. I don't know how you keep track of all the people that are coming, Chris, and
We don't have to keep track of them, we just
it
hope they
just
keep
seems,
coming.
even for the burnout, I mean, they were all the way down that soccer field.
Right.
And a lot also on the north side, and it was really fun.
Yeah, it's a great event.
Really fun.
My purpose here tonight, and I should say, my name is Paul Summers, I'm representing the Bountiful Rotary Club. But Mayor and City Council, on behalf of the Bountiful Rotary Club, we just wanted to extend our thanks, extreme thanks to you for what the city does for us for this car show. Gary and his staff, Chief Ross and his officers, and Gary Blowers and his people, and Alan Johnson, they put up all of our signs for us at the Power Department. It's just a great, great effort, and Brock Hill takes care of the park and all the things we do over there. He don't complain, he just is a happy guy, and so it's just really, really fantastic what the support we get from the city. You know, there's 46 Rotary clubs in the state of Utah, and every one of them knows about this car show. And when I meet with them, I have a district responsibility, and so I do meet with different clubs. And they say, how do you get the city to give you that kind of support? I just smile and say, well, you know, we just live in a great city. And they are very much behind us. Youth Council, I believe, helped us out this year. We have just numerous volunteers. We go to the elementary schools that take the coats. A lot of those teachers and faculty help us, and it's all their volunteer. They want to help. We don't put any pressure on them to. They just help. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So on behalf of the Bountiful Rotary Club, I'd like to present this plaque for our gratitude for your wonderful support. Bountiful Rotary Club honors Bountiful City for their generous sponsorship 20th anniversary. This guy has a lot to do with it.
Yes. Thanks, Paul.
I'm sure just like you said, other Rotary clubs ask, how did you get the city to give you such support? I'm sure that we get, all the time people say, how do you get a club to be so amazing that brings in this amazing event to your city? And we're so lucky. We're so grateful.
Well, it works both ways, and
Yep.
we, we do, I think, a lot of good with the money, and nobody gets paid anything. It's just all the money goes to help the kids and so forth. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Paul, thank you, and on behalf of the city council and the staff and all of those folks that do so much in support, and we know who they are too. Yeah, I know you did. We accept this and really appreciate it. That's very special to us. Thank you very much. And now John Mark is taking...
John Mark, would you put that back on the table?
And he's taking ownership right now of our plaque.
I'll be responsible.
When we go to his house, it'll be right there in full view.
Chief, would you see that ends in the right place?
Yes.
Please, Chief? Take a picture of it.
Yes, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, that was so fitting for you to be here today. That was so fun. I just tell you personally, I really hadn't been involved. I didn't know really what was done until 5 years ago. And it just is a thing that I look forward to a lot. And I get some assignments on Friday and then on Saturday, and it's really fun. with John Mark, we usually, he was gone, but usually he's there too on Saturday with some assignments with the military and the flag, and it's just it's a terrific event for our city.
Mayor, I might say that two of your council people are members of our club, and the rest of you are all invited to join, so.
That's good. Thanks, Paul. You're always a Rotary missionary. Yeah, way to go. Invite. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So we'll turn the next item, let's see, we'll turn over to Jared Edge.
Mayor Lewis, City Council, thank you for your audience. I'm Jared Edge. I'm the Fleet and Shop Supervisor for the Street Department.
Jared, how long have you been with us?
About 20 years.
What, have you ever presented here before to us?
I haven't, and actually, I've been a little bit remiss in my civic duty, and this is actually the first city council meeting I've ever attended. And when I arrived here today and saw all the paddles, I was a little bit nervous.
Well, Jared, we're really glad that you're here, and you do not have to feel guilty at all except for this number, which is, so if you're going to come, you might as well ask for a good number.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm representing the street department, and starting out with agenda item number 8, I'd like to proceed to rob the city's coffers. The street department would like to replace one 10-wheel dump truck, and I'm sure you're all familiar that we use the dump trucks to plow the snow in the wintertime, and then in the summertime, the plow equipment comes off and they're used for paving operations. So they're a year-round piece of equipment. It's the most heavily used piece of equipment in the city. And we requested and received 3 bids for a truck chassis. We got bids from Peterbilt of Utah, Mountain West Truck Center, and Rush Truck Center. And of those 3 bids, which you have before you, we selected the bid from Rush Truck Center. It was not the low bid. The low bid was with Mountain West Truck Center. The reason why we selected that bid is because of the engine torque and horsepower that was available in that chassis. This is going to be a wing plow, and so it has an additional plow on the side, and requires more horsepower to operate that effectively. The higher horsepower and torque ratings also lead to longer engine life because we don't have to push the truck to its maximum output all the time. And the truck itself has a better brake system, steering components, and a better frame. So for the margin of difference, it was a much better value for the city. We asked for 3 bids for the body equipment, including the plow and spreader and wing plow. And Williamson Godwin, Legacy Equipment Company, and Semi-Service provided those. We selected Semi-Service, and they were the low bid. And so to summarize that, staff recommends the council approve the purchase of the International 10-wheel dump truck from Rush Truck Center for $113,763.56, and the plow, body, and hydraulics package from Semi-Service for $95,748.71. And the significant impact of this is the street department fiscal year 2019 budget for this truck is $210,000, and the actual impact for the international truck with the Semi-Service equipment installed is $209,512.27. Does the council or the mayor or anyone have any questions?
The reason why you're not getting a surprise reaction from the council is that this is not the first time we've seen this request. When we went through our budget process, we saw this truck coming up. So we already know, we've already talked about it, and we already know that this purchase was coming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work in getting the bids, and it makes sense. I mean, usually we want the low bid, but there are times when you're smart to look at the value and compare. So I really appreciate your work on this, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wish you had gotten your estimate a little bit closer.
That would have been good.
$480 off on a $210,000 purchase.
So I will look for a motion from our city council.
Happy to make a motion that we approve the purchase of the dump truck and body for the contract price of $209,512.27.
And a second.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved. And we really appreciate, Jared, you coming. You need to know you're always welcome here, so.
I'm going to have to come more often.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. I got a feeling you're going to get more assignments about it.
Goodbye, Helen.
He's still up.
Yeah, Charles and Gary are both just like,
Yeah.
there we go.
I might add, he's set a new dress standard for the street department.
That was a slam there. Good job. Yes, Chris. All right, anyway, thank you. Let's see, do we have you again?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we got, okay. Item number 9. Thanks. Thanks, Jared.
Okay, I'll just move right into this one. This is for your consideration, the purchase of a mastic mixer with auger, or defined a pothole and crack repair system. This is a new piece of equipment for the street department, and what this is, mastic mixers, they melt blocks of material and then auger it out onto the potholes or large cracks and fill them. This piece of equipment is different than the crack sealers that you've seen before that do the small cracks. This actually is a much thicker compound. It's actually a compound called Gap Patch 550, and this compound will be able to use summer and winter, and it will repair potholes and large cracks permanently. In the past, in the wintertime, we would use cold mix to fill the potholes, and the cold mix has a tendency of coming out of the potholes fairly rapidly. So it's a very temporary fix, where this will be a permanent heavy-duty repair. This was a single source on this machine. I searched the country over, and the only machine that's currently on the market that has an auger that's powerful enough to dispense Gap Patch 550 is this mastic mixer that's available from Maxwell Equipment Company. The cost for this machine is $61,222.61. That is state budget price, state contract. And the significant impact to the street department fiscal year 2019 budget of $62,000 is $61,222.61. Are there any questions on this piece of equipment?
Jared, that's pretty impressive. I take it you probably believe that this is a prime example of how the streets department is always on the leading edge to make sure that we have the proper equipment to maintain our streets at a high standard. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. Whereas I'm more in a supervisory role with the fleet and the shop operations, I'm very, very familiar with what Gary Blowers and the street foreman deal with each day. And I think they take each and every opportunity to improve our processes, and this is a great example of that, where it will greatly increase the reliability and durability of pothole repairs, which, as Gary Blowers pointed out to me, is well worth the investment because of the damage that they can cause to residents' vehicles and potential physical injury to cyclists and others that use the road. So it's a very critical piece of equipment, I think.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you.
further questions?
Yeah, does the Gap Patch, does it have some sort of aggregate in it? What's different about it?
It does have aggregate in it.
It's just asphalt then, regular?
Yeah, it's just melted asphalt. It's actually, it's a stackable polymer with aggregate in it.
Huh.
We can use this actually on some concrete road. We did some demo with it, we used it on Orchard Drive, we used it on Main Street, up on the boulevard, and it's held very, very well. So we're pretty impressed with it, especially
Wow.
on concrete.
Very cool.
Any other questions? If not, I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve the purchase of the mastic mixer with auger.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved as well, and we'll look for your next item, Jared.
Thank you. Item number 10 on the agenda for your consideration is the purchase of a replacement 29-yard side loader refuse truck. This is our common garbage truck that we use in the city. This will replace a unit that has served most of its useful life. I say most because it will be moved into the pool of spare garbage trucks that we keep on hand for breakdowns and such. We asked for 3 bids for both the chassis and the body. Peterbilt of Utah came in with the low bid. We have been purchasing Peterbilts now for the past 3 years. They've proven to be a reliable chassis that has fit our needs very well. And Signature Equipment came in as the low bid as well on a Labrie body. Last year was the first year that we purchased a Labrie body. It's worked very well for us over the years, the last year. Some of the features that we have really liked about the Labrie body is the grabbers do not have to be interchanged to lift the larger versus the smaller cans, and that leads to less injury to drivers and fatigue. The grabbers are very heavy to change on the other trucks. In addition to this, many of the refuse companies have been moving to Labrie body, and they are quickly gathering the market because of their patented arm system that is proving to be very reliable and very driver-friendly, ergonomic. Staff recommends the council approve the purchase of the Peterbilt refuse chassis from Peterbilt of Utah for $139,528.00 and a Labrie refuse body from Signature Equipment for $113,650.00, and the impact to the fiscal year 2019 budget for the truck of $300,000 is $253,178 for the Labrie body installed on our Peterbilt chassis. This estimate is lower than we projected, but we projected that price looking forward to steel tariffs and various other factors in the market that we wanted to be prepared for. But so we feel that our budget number was correct, but it did come in significantly under budget. Are there any questions on this piece of equipment?
Not on this one, but what was one of your new trucks being towed down the freeway at 7 a.m. the other day for?
That was being towed in for some warranty work on an emission system, the particulate filter, diesel particulate filter. It had become either plugged or the sensors in the system were given an erroneous reading, causing the engine to go into shutdown mode. Mm-hmm. And so the towing was covered under warranty, and as well as the repair, so we opted to have that done.
One of the few times I wasn't proud to see a Bountiful logo on the door of a truck.
Yeah.
Happy to make a motion that we approve the purchase of the refuse truck chassis and body for $253,000 and change.
Second. Thank you. Any further discussion?
Just one more thing before you leave us tonight. I wish you would convey the council's admiration for the streets department. Would you pass that information on to Gary and to any other streets department employee that you see, that we're very proud of everything that they do?
Thank you, I will.
Amen.
Yes, and that we'd all be in favor of that statement. Thank you. Any further discussion? Did we have a second? We did. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion also passes. Hey, you got here 3 for 3. Nice job.
One more?
One more?
Oh, there's one more. I'm sorry. I'm still, oh, okay.
Now, 3 is the limit.
Okay, yes. Sorry. Lumber 11 as well. 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Thank you. So the final item for consideration this evening is purchase of a leaf debris collector. These are the leaf debris collectors that you see around town with the hose dangling out, collecting the leaves. They're manufactured by Old Dominion Brush Company. The Old Dominion Brush Company is a single source. Nobody else has a product that's equivalent that works in our situation. We actually pioneered taking these units and installing them on used garbage truck chassis to make it a one-man operation. Otherwise, this is a two-man operation with a trailer and one person operating the wand. And that's proven to be very effective. Why these are so important is to comply with our stormwater regulations, keep the debris and the leaves out of the stormwater drains. We ask the residents to do that, and we feel that we need to step up and do our part with that as well. Staff recommends the council approve the purchase of the leaf debris collector from Old Dominion Brush Company for $63,546.25. And the impact to the budget of $65,000 is that amount, $63,546.25. Are there any questions?
Thanks for being innovative. Who came up with that?
You know, that was before my time. I believe it was Tim Salt and Jürgen Poika.
Nice.
Thank you. It's perfect.
You know, we talk a lot about how well our streets are plowed and our garbage service and all those things. But the diligence that this department does in getting out in between storms in the fall, when all the leaves haven't come down yet and people are still raking things out to the curb, I've been impressed with it. So thanks for that. That often goes unnoticed except by the stormwater folks.
Thank you, sir.
With that, I'll be happy to make a motion if we're ready.
Yes.
That we purchase this leaf and debris collector for $63,546.25.
Second.
A second. Any further discussion?
Can I make a comment?
Sure,
Mayor?
please.
With the money the street department has saved us, we can build about 12 pickleball courts.
Hey.
Interesting.
Move to
I
approve.
move that we strike that from the record.
So with the motion and the second on item number 11, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That is also approved. Okay, 4 for 4.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
They didn't get a second.
Turn this next item over to you, our city engineer, Mr. Rowland.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Before I get started, I would also like to thank Jared for a great job done here tonight. For the first time in front of the council, and we all know that's intimidating. I think he did a great job.
Except to him, he was like Mr. Calm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about an easement release here real quick. Been approached by a couple of residents up here along Moss Hill Drive who purchased lots in this subdivision that was developed with a big gold irrigation line across the back of the lots. When Moss Hill Drive went in, however, that line was replaced and abandoned. However, there was a 25-foot wide easement placed on the subdivision plat. Since that time, there has been no use of that easement by any utility, and in particular, the irrigation company has told the residents not only can they take the pipe out of their backyard, but they can have the pipe, that they take out. So they are requesting an easement release. We don't want to release the full 25 feet at the boundaries of subdivisions. We always like to keep an easement. Our standard width is 7 feet. So come with the recommendation that the council make the partial release of the easements at the east side of 201 and 215 North Moss Hill Drive, South Moss Hill Drive, excuse me. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thanks, thanks, Paul. And you have the next item as well.
Okay. Immediately prior to this meeting, we had a meeting of the Traffic Safety Committee and reviewed 3 items. I will briefly, for the sake of those 3 members who are here this evening, who didn't hear the extended version of these discussions, I'll briefly recap that, but they come with positive recommendations. The first item being some additional traffic, possibly calming signs along Mill Street in the area of Creekside Park. We did a speed study along Mill Street and found that 85th percentile speed on that street was 34 miles an hour. When it gets 10 miles over that's posted speed limit, it's probably something that we ought to do, not speed bumps, but in this case, 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs would be good reminders that Turner Birmingham isn't here, but somebody might give you a ticket. In addition to that, the MUTCD provides for a warning sign to be placed, that can be placed immediately adjacent to a playground or park. The Traffic Safety Committee has reviewed the recommendation and sends along the recommendation that those playground warning signs also be placed immediately adjacent to the park on the east and west side. So the recommendation...
Which park is that?
That would be Bridge Park, otherwise known as Creekside.
Creekside, thank you.
The recommendation is that the full council approve the installation of the speed limit signs and the playground sign.
So I have a question. Sorry, it's a little different about the signs. Do we have or anticipate any crosswalks?
Yeah, crosswalks become a bit of a problem. Crosswalks, if you go statistically, crosswalks are pretty dangerous because that's where people are when they get hit by cars. And a mid-block crosswalk like this, particularly where nobody's really expecting it.
So you
creates-
don't think there's a reason?
No, I don't think that there is a reason to put in a crosswalk
Okay,
there.
thank you.
Any questions? Do you want us to do these one at a time?
We can do them all at once, or you can do it one at a time.
Gary would like, you want to do those one at a time?
Move to approve the speed limit signs and the playground signs as noted.
And a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes for the speed limit signs on Mill Street and the caution signs as well. Please, Paul.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The second item discussed by the Traffic Safety Committee was the possibility of changing the traffic control at 1800 South and 200 West. We discussed that over the last 10 years, there have been 6 years in which there were more than 5 traffic accidents at that intersection, and because of the low amount of traffic, the accidents per million vehicles in that intersection make it statistically one of the worst traffic areas, one of the most dangerous intersections in the city. Over the years, we've gone from stop signs to overhead beacons to flashing stop signs to all kinds of stuff, extra signs that say cross traffic doesn't stop. The next stop is a four-way stop. We reviewed the conditions for installing a four-way stop and understand from members of the public and know that there's quite a bit of traffic on 1800 South and they are going to be impacted by this. where they've had a straight shot in the past between Main Street and Orchard Drive. However, the traffic traveling along 200 West anticipates, for some reason, that that traffic east and west on 1800 South will stop. And many of the accident reports state, I stopped but proceeded because I thought it was a four-way stop. And they drive right out in front of a car that they saw coming. They get hit by a car that they knew was coming. To help resolve that problem, I am proposing that, and the Traffic Safety Committee sends along a recommendation that this intersection be changed to a four-way stop. And in addition, the stop signs be a new variety LED blinking stop sign. Small LED lights are placed at the 8 corners of the stop sign octagon, and they are very visible, both day and night. Those LEDs are a very directional light, and drivers approaching will see them both day and night. And in addition to that, we're going to need a little extra help letting people on 1800 South know things have changed now. With that, there was a discussion about the appropriateness and other actions that might be taken at that intersection, but the Traffic Safety Committee sends along a recommendation for the installation of a four-way stop with the blinking LED stop signs.
Any questions for our engineer? Not, I'll look for a motion.
I'd like to make a comment. Coming back from Wyoming this past weekend, coming through cities of 2,000 people, all the stoplights were LED blinking stoplights. Stop signs, I should say.
Were they?
They were stop signs. And day or night, it caught my attention. We came upon actually there were two major accidents coming through intersections very similar to what you said here, where someone drove up the busy one, and someone thought it was a four-way stop and went out and got hit. So we saw, two major accidents. I'm sure there were some lives lost because of that. But the blinking stoplights really was great. I was very impressed with it. So Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we install 4 new blinking LED stop signs to mark a four-way intersection, which would be on 1800 South and 200 West.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion also passes. And then back to you again, Paul.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The third topic that the Traffic Safety Committee reviewed was the on-street student parking around our high schools. We have a rich and long history of concerns, let's say concerns by the public around our high schools, because of the impact of students parking on the street. It is typical, I know that at Viewmont High School it's the case, and I believe Bountiful High School is the case also, that students that have use or otherwise have some kind of problem lose their parking, their on-campus parking privileges, and that sophomores are not allowed to park on campus. So that puts a certain population of the student body looking for some place to park besides on campus. They don't have a parking pass. We, in the Traffic Safety Committee, took several minutes to review the history of the requests that have come in from the various residents around the two high schools that have led to the installation of the parking signs, the no parking during school hour signs, and how that has expanded over the years, starting in 1996 with the first recommendation, which was finally approved and installed over in the Chapel Drive area in early 97. And expanding out over the next several years. In 2000, the first signs were placed along Mill Street, and additional signs were placed along 2nd west of Viewmont High School. In 2003, additional signs were approved on Mill Street, west of Orchard Drive, down to 200 East Street. And then in 2009, again, additional signs were approved and placed over in the area of 800 North Street. So this is a problem that in many of the memos that were written to the Traffic Safety Committee and City Council at the times that these were reviewed, just said, we can put these signs up, but it's just going to push the problem farther from the school. And we really don't have a parking enforcement patrol division. We don't have the ability to man an entire division that it would take to patrol the parking in this. So for the most part, it's going to be unenforceable, which in fact has been the case. That has caused some concerns from the people that have the no parking signs in front of their houses. And it's caused some concerns from the people that are out beyond that area, which now have students parking in front of their house and walking 3 blocks to school. We reviewed that history, how that has progressed to this point, some additional money actually the city has spent in developing a parking lot on the north side of the Viewmont tennis courts. And then the chief took an opportunity to review some of the concerns from just an enforcement point of view. And I'd like to give the chief a few minutes to rehearse quickly what some of the concerns are from the enforcement and the policing side of this.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Paul, Mayor, and council members. So this is not a new conversation for many of you, and we've been talking about this. I think I've had meetings nearly every year in the 12 years I've been chief regarding this issue. So I think what's most important that we recognize is even when this started 21 years ago, the message from the city to the residents that were getting the signs was that this is not going to be enforced by the police. This is going to be hopefully getting people to voluntarily comply by having the signs. And as an officer on the street at the time, when we first heard this happening, as we're talking amongst ourselves going, this is crazy because we already knew what was going to happen. And picture yourself being an officer trying to mitigate that issue, knowing that it may not be the first month or the first year, but it was going to come. And what I have seen over these 22 years is it has become worse, and the complaints are more frequent, and the police are involved much more often than it was when we started. Some of that's due to the population of the schools, some of that's due to our driving habits and maybe, more kids driving. But I also believe that we have created some of that problem ourselves by the signs. So if you recognize or think that the minute we put signs up and pushed students to other streets, all we were doing was adding more residents into the parking problem, believing we were doing the right thing. I wasn't part of those decisions, but I could have very well have been somebody back then saying, yeah, let's try this, maybe it is the right thing to do. We know very clearly now this is not working. And so as we pushed them into new neighborhoods, they started requesting signs. We've got 2 streets that are adamantly pushing us right now, 550 by Bountiful and 1400 on Viewmont, that are demanding signs. And there are at least 2 others that have been talking to us, Mill Creek Way and others, that are saying, we would like signs. And I had one resident telling me, if you guys put more signs up, we will be here demanding our street have signs. So we can't sign our way out of this problem. There have been many things done by the school district in cooperation with us, in cooperation with, even neighbors and residents trying to make this work. And I think we have used up those opportunities. The school districts have expanded parking, 120 stalls at Viewmont, 75 at Bountiful High. And we are able to use both churches, LDS churches, currently, and that's is a positive thing. That's kind of bounced around over the years. But it's a simple mathematics issue at this point as far as the police department is concerned. If we narrow down the number of streets that people are loud and very upset, to a smaller group, which will be likely the ones that could lose the signs that have had them. It is easier for us to address enforcement issues in those streets than those 5 or 6, than the 10, 12, eventually 14, 16, and it goes on and on. So we feel strongly that we have listened, we have, and I'm not talking just we, the police department, I think as a city, we have sat down in good faith with residents, with the district, with principals, with student body members of schools, trying to come up with the best solutions. And the thing that keeps coming back in my mind even stronger and stronger year after year is that we really need to shrink this down and pull all the signs. And for those that live by a high school that are impacted, I'm sorry. But we can't fix that as a police department or as a city. We can try to impact and mitigate some of those issues, but at the end of the day, we have impacts all over our city. I meet with residents yearly, at least a couple of times, that have impacts that they are not happy about, and we're trying to work with that and resolve it. And this is unfortunately another one of those that we probably at best manage, but we do not remove until someday maybe we don't have kids driving cars to school and maybe they're, commuting in other ways and mass transit and so forth. So I'd be happy to answer any questions and give any additional input, but that's kind of the basis of where the police department is coming on this.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
After that, this comes to this body with the recommendation from the Traffic Safety Committee, just as it's stated in the memo, that the council approve the removal of the no parking during school hours areas and the removal of the signs after the council, the full council, has had an opportunity to take in comment from the affected public, and that the council then in an open meeting make this decision final after that comment. Now, we discussed possible calendaring for that towards the middle of August for a public meeting with the neighbors, the affected neighbors, and then possibly, if possible, to the city council for the final decision on August 22nd, which I believe is the second day of school. And Chief and I would be glad to answer any questions.
Just a question, Paul. It would be nice if we're taking the signs down to have them down before school starts. Because if it's up, first day of school, there's no parking sign. The next day, it's gone. The kids say, well,
what's up with that?
What's up with this? One day it's here, one day it's gone. It'd be nice if they could be gone before school starts, if that's a possibility, and to have it all done and through and behind us.
We actually looked at that quite extensively with our calendar, and because there has been an adjustment of the August Planning Commission and first City Council meeting, those two dates have been swapped. It was felt that there just isn't time to get things done in order for it to meet before that meeting, which is going to be on the 7th, in order to get this thing really publicized to the public. We'd want a little bit more time. The next opportunity after the 2nd, so there's actually 3 weeks between them instead of 2, because of a public hearing forcing the switching of those two meetings.
We might add, Paul, that there's less cars when they start in the fall. We don't have as big a problem until basically after Christmas.
That's true. There's about 1/3 less cars in the fall because the sophomores haven't, for the most part, haven't gotten their driver's licenses yet.
We still have some work to do. This is something that the chief and I and Gary and others and the school district that we're going to meet here at some point here in the next few weeks. And But I think it may, I know where your concern is, but I think it might be okay, is what I'm saying. That we do it on the 22nd may not be a problem. Are you looking, Paul, for us to just, we're not approving anything other than recommendation that we move forward?
We move forward, get public comment, and that this item come back directly to the city council rather than going back to the Traffic Safety Committee and then to the city council. But, excuse me, directly after Diet Coke break. There. The decision come directly back to the full council after that public input opportunity.
So we are looking for a motion then, council.
What was the vote in the Traffic Safety Committee?
Yeah, good question.
The vote was 2 to accept this recommendation and pass this recommendation on with 1 abstention.
And the abstention was because?
Because I wanted to hear from the public before I don't really oppose it, I just wanted to really get all vantage points.
So you don't have a problem with moving forward?
No, I don't have a
with the
problem.
recommendation that we go that
Yes.
way?
Mhm.
So, I mean,
So I'm a little
Richard?
confused.
Okay.
Aren't we voting to hear from the public?
Yes.
Yes, I think we're,
But we're not voting whether or not to hear from the public. We're hearing from the public either way.
yeah. So Richard, you're still confused just a little bit.
I am.
So look, maybe, Paul, can you help us of what you need here?
Right now, the recommendation is to remove the no parking signs, but not until after the council has had the opportunity to get the input from the public. So the next step in the process, actually, and the subject of the vote this evening is really just to have that public process and go forward with the information gathering from the affected neighborhoods, after which it will come back to the full council for the decision whether to make the area smaller, make them bigger, completely eliminate them, whatever decision comes out of the result of that information gathering.
So this
That
is
will come back to us.
basically a preliminary vote, a vote to move forward.
So moved.
Okay.
What Paul said.
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks, Paul. And we will, last thing on the agenda, except for an adjournment, we're going to turn over to you.
Back to my old comfortable spot.
Mr. Clinton Drake, our city attorney.
Mustache goes away, and I'm back at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, see? It must have some kind of impact.
Gary's just jealous of your hair.
Oh, no, I can grow a beard like you can.
He could probably grow a better one than I can, honestly. All right. You have before you a copy of the proposed agreement and appointment of a public defender for Bountiful City. Before I get started on the content of what we've got here, I just want to note that Bountiful City has had a tremendous public defender for many, many years. His name is Bill Albright. He's a Bountiful City resident, and he's been doing it at little to no cost to the city for a very long time. And so I just wanted to take a moment and recognize him for his efforts. He's a great man, he's a great attorney, and we were sad to learn just recently that he's going to start winding his practice down. He also does some public defender work for the county. He's going to hang on to that for now, but he's starting to wind it down, and just wanted to express my appreciation to him. He's not here, but he's done a great job.
Clint, can we do something for him?
Sure.
Would you please?
Uh-huh. We will do that. Just wanting us to maybe send him a little something of appreciation, have the mayor sign it, something like that.
Yeah, and maybe even present
On
something
behalf of the
here.
council.
Don't you think?
Honestly, one of the reasons Bountiful feels different to me is because we have people like him who do things out of conviction and personal, initiative, rather than just having a job. And I think it would be important that we recognize him for that.
Okay, I'll talk to Gary and we'll figure out something that
Thanks for
we
doing
can do.
that.
Yeah, not a problem. With that being said, and I've been telling Gary this since I got here, is that, hey, Bill's not going to be around here forever, and just an FYI, when he leaves, we're going to have a significant increase in public defender fees. So when he let us know a few months ago, we sent out an RFP. We received 5 proposals back, and I didn't include a breakdown like you might see in some sort of like a capital project, because we're not really comparing the same things. We're comparing, each proposal proposed a different billing rate, a different structure for billing, and it just didn't make sense I couldn't figure out how to put that in a nice, easy spreadsheet for you. So I'm happy to discuss those other proposals if you'd like to, but I sat down with our city prosecutor as well as our city manager, and we went through the different proposals, and we are happy to suggest and recommend the law firm of Larson, Nash & Larson for approval. If you'd like me to, I can go through the compensation rates and how that works. What I would like to do just briefly is go through the agreement. It was not able to be completed or to be included in the packet in time, but I provided that to you by email, and I've given you a copy of it on your desk there. The one that I provided by email, there's just one substantive tweak that I need to point out, and other than that, it's pretty much identical, other than a few little cleanups that we did. And that's on the first page, paragraph 1A, that talks about the scope of services. Initially, the copy that had been emailed to you just indicated that there would be two attorneys. They would appear at least 2 times per month with 2 attorneys. We've just changed that they will have the discretion to send 1 or 2 attorneys. That just depends on the calendars. Sometimes they might only have 1 or 2 cases, and it doesn't make sense to send 2 attorneys. And so we've just amended that to give them the discretion to send as many attorneys as they need to sufficiently provide representation to indigent clients. As I noted, there is a compensation structure that's here. Before I get there, if you turn the page over on page 3, it talks about the term. That's paragraph 3. We've just done this for a 1-year term, but we've included in there the automatic renewal of an additional 4 years if there is no termination. So we can evaluate it annually and terminate if we need to, but this will allow us to just let that go for 5 years if everything's going smoothly. And that's paragraph 4, the termination. We can terminate any year. The compensation, before we were paying on a monthly flat fee basis. This way, we're now, with this proposal, we'd be paying on a per case basis. The per case basis would be $150 per case. That would basically be from the time of appointment up until a sentence, a conviction, some sort of a conviction, a dismissal or acquittal, some sort of conclusion at trial. And then sometimes public defenders may be appointed for additional things. One of those might be a review hearing or an order to show cause. That's basically just reviewing probation statuses, something like that. And they might be appointed. They propose $35 per each case. The one thing that they've also included in their proposal, this is coming from, the state has created what's called the Sixth Amendment Indigent Defense Commission that's just evaluated the needs of indigent defendants throughout the state, and they have recommended that there be some sort of funds available to a public defender to aid them in successful defense. That might be witness fees, maybe some visual aid type fees in a trial or costs that they might have. And they have proposed that there be a $2,500 line item that be included in our budget that would just allow them the discretion to make those purchases or expend those funds as necessary. I did include there a cost of, if anything is more than $100, that it needs to go through an approval process by the city. That's not to indicate to them how they should represent their clients, but just to ensure that they're being cost efficient. Private firms don't always understand that, we're dealing with public money, and we want to make sure that if they're looking at a service or an expense, that they've gotten comparisons and that we're making wise use of our money. So anything above $100 would require some approval by the city. Other than that, it's all pretty standard stuff. I will tell you that I have worked with this law firm since the beginning of my career. They come highly recommended from their references, which included a judge in other cities, as well as myself. I've worked with them, and I found them to be zealous advocates for their clients, easy to work with, and very professional and competent. If you have any other questions or any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks for your work.
Yeah, no problem.
Clint, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is this firm located in Bountiful?
They are not, they're located actually out of West Valley City, but I can tell you that two of the Larsons in the Larson, Nash, and Larson went to Viewmont High School, and all of them live in Davis County. So they're familiar with Bountiful City and with Davis County, and that was one of the factors that we looked at as well, is that their knowledge of the community, their relationships with the existing judges, and also accessibility. The agreement provides that they'll meet with them either in their offices, at the court, or if for some reason the court is closed, that we would just provide them space that they can meet with clients here somewhere at City Hall.
So Clint, how many cases per year on average?
Yeah. For a public, that might be appointed. So that just depends on, that's kind of out of our hands. That depends on who is charged, what their financial capabilities are, and what the judge appoints. It's
historically.
Yeah.
So we're looking at about 7 per month that are being appointed. In the information that I reviewed, we had the lowest month we had is we had 2 appointments in 1 month. The highest month that we had, and this is over about the last 18 months, we had about 21 in 1 month. So it ranges. That 21 was an anomaly, and so was the 2. They really hover around 5 to 8 per month.
And what were their offenses?
They range anywhere from something like a simple retail theft. There's a number of domestic violence charges, DUI, and anything along those lines. There are rare circumstances where I have encouraged our prosecutor to recommend a public defender. That is typically when there appears to be a mental competency issue. If you sit down and you meet with somebody and they don't appear to understand the process or what's going on, then I've indicated to him that he should recommend to the court that there be a public defender. That's rare, but it does happen.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we we approve the agreement for a public defender legal services between Bountiful City and the law firm of Larson, Nish, and Larson, and compel the mayor to sign such said agreement.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Any opposed? So that motion is approved.
One thing I failed to mention, and I'll keep track of this, is, and I've already met with these public defenders and the judge together. The judge, typically in a resolution, they'll recommend, the city will recommend a recoupment fee. And so we're seeing that the orders where the judge will request a recoupment, and honestly, $150 for an assistance through something like a DUI is a real bargain. So I'll keep track of those numbers, and I'll report those as we go through our budget process next year.
Perfect.
Comment?
Yes, please.
Gary, Chad? I'd like us to take this seriously.
What would you like us, by take seriously, what would you like us to do?
I would like you to remove the no on-street parking provision for older parts of town that don't have driveways sufficient for their needs. That's what I'd like you to do.
Remove the no on-street parking.
So allow parking on street during the winter months?
Yeah.
Despite the plows?
Yeah. Sorry, Gary, can you plug your ears for a minute? So, I have 2 college kids that live at home, and I have 2 other college kids that come home on some weekends and during the holidays, which means that we have 6 cars in a 2-car driveway fairly regularly.
Let's have a
And-
work session.
What's that?
Let's have a work session, talk about it.
Sure. Okay. Move to adjourn.
Sounds good.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.